It's the Date Master checking in. I'm going to talk about very, very sensitive topic. How toxic mothers ruin their sons. This is a very interesting subject because a lot of people, due to your roots and due to your conditioning and the dynamics of, how we view our parents, it's kind of looked on as taboo or, not received as if we're appreciating our parents despite, certain obstacles and certain, experiences we've had and certain things that we feel we should have been taught or things we should have been exposed to, just a lot of things. It's looked at, and once a person becomes of age and of a certain intelligence or maturity, he or she can't speak about their parents' shortcomings when they come to understand those shortcomings. And people look at relationships and wonder why, a lot of parents and their children, their relationships as they grow older. Notice how the relationship deteriorates as the child gets older. Once a child becomes of age, they're going to be able to go back and look, especially if they're introspective, if they're, they're looking to find their identity. They went and did some soul searching, especially men. You see this a lot with men. Men have a propensity to want to know their identity and know why they are what they are and who they are. So they go back and they play the tape. They go back and they play everything that led up to their current condition and position in life. And they start to piece things together. They consume content. They do the work. And conclusions are made that, my mother was toxic. And if my dad was present, he didn't step in to curb the toxicity or neutralize the toxicity, because he may have been toxic himself. But toxic is an ambiguous word. People think toxic means just, violent, loud, which those are, examples of being toxic. But it's more than that. A toxic mother will over nurture her son to where she's controlling him. You see this on movies like Baby Boy. You've seen it on Antoine Fisher. You've seen it on many others, where the woman develops a certain relationship with the child. And it's my theory that she tries to get that relationship with her son, especially her firstborn son, and second in some cases, and maybe in some cases all of her sons, to counteract or to supplement the lack of relationship she has with the father or have had with the father. She wants to create a bond so tight that she thinks that this bond is going to keep this child close, but instead it pushes him close. It pushes him away. You look at a lot of rebellious young men and young boys that get into all kind of things such as gangs, drugs, crime. They're rebelling because they're trying to find their way. And a lot of the times, the only thing that a mother gives her son is that love and nurturing, which is okay to a certain extent, but it has to be a cutoff, because he's not going to be able to go no further than the reach of his mother's arm. He's going to lack ambition. He's going to, look for women to cater to him in the same manner that his mother catered to him. He's not going to be accountable. He's not going to be responsible. He's not going to know what it takes to really be a man of honor. In a lot of terms, you hear a lot of women say, a real man. She's only going to teach him how to be the man that compliments or makes her comfortable, that is present for her insecurities and for her shortcomings. So she latches on to her son so tightly, and she ruins him. He becomes, a weaker man that only engages women in a predatory manner when it comes to emotion. He's looking for a woman to emotionally console his shortcomings, his imperfections, his flaws, his lack of masculinity, if you will. We as, people, we shy away from these conversations because the Bible, which a lot of people follow Christianity and other religions, tell you to not ridicule your parents, to honor your mother and their father, which you should. But in some cases, how can you when your mother and father were either absent, toxic, just bad parents? They didn't know what they were doing. A lot of people are not held accountable for having children prematurely. Some people just feel that they should be having children because they're a certain age. I don't agree with that. And a lot of men will attest to that. You only have children when you have a legacy and a safe, alkaline environment to place and raise them in, to where they can become better versions of you. And I use this analogy a lot. You look at the Mercedes-Benz or any vehicle that was made in the 80s and 90s, and look at their counterparts that were made, or look at their evolved prototypes, or you look at the newer versions and models that are made in the 2000s and the 2010s and the 2020s, where we are now, and you look at the features, you look at the modifications made. Every model after that last model is better. It has more features, it's faster, it's more fuel efficient, it has more technology, it is a better version. So when people have children, they don't look to have better versions of themselves, especially when you have multiple kids. You have one child that does something and then the next child falls short. Because people get lazy, people are complacent. This is why I always preach to better yourself. There's no such thing as retirement. There's no such thing as settling. You continue to evolve until the Most High call you home, until it's time to go to that next dimension. So parents get lazy and they want to put it on autopilot. They put parenting in the arms and hands of society, which will ruin your children as well. You're placing them in the public education system. But that's another story for another day. So you look at the over nurturing, where they spoil these men, they spoil these young boys with everything that doesn't mean anything and hold no value. And when you spoil a child, you rid them of any and all accountability and responsibility. You make these children weak. You fearmonger. A lot of these toxic mothers are fearmongers. They place all of this fake fear, which fear is fake. They put all of this fear into their sons' lives to keep them at home until they're 35, 40, 30. Things happen. And, it takes a man to step off that porch and step out of that door to become his greater self. But women and toxic mothers perpetuate this lifestyle where you have men now looking to shack up with women. Men looking to be financially dependent upon women because women are the new men of today. And they're dating men to make the man the wife. The man is the helpmeet. The man is the assistant. The man is the aide. And they ruin their sons. And they wonder why the relationship as he gets older deteriorates and he doesn't come around as often as he used to. His visits become shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. Because he realized a fallacy and a flaw in his upbringing. It's very hard to not become bitter and become resentful to your parents when you know the deeds and the actions that have taken place that cause you to not have a certain status in life, to look a certain way. You got to look at diet. You look at what your parents feed you. You look at these kids, they are obese. There's no way a child should be obese and overweight. You're trying to give this child what they like to compensate for your lack of parenting skills and try to compensate for your lack of ambition as a parent to raise the best product for this world. You try to overcompensate or overshadow the fact that you don't want to take him and expose him to mentorship, to put him in programs that's going to require you to get up at 6 a.m. and have him there by 7 a.m. You try to overshadow and overcompensate, so you buy him all the J's. You get them all the McDonald's, all of the wings, all of the cake, all of the ice cream, and they become obese at 8, 9 years old. You see this. And that is why a lot of men have an issue with their mother. And I do want to speak about the dads that are present also, because the father sees this, and because he fears, and I'm not giving any excuse to the father, but because he has a fear, if he steps in and tries to interrupt this relationship with this mother and son, he fears that she's going to take him away or make some bogus allegation that will remove him from the home and remove this child from his life. Women have a tendency to turn their children against their fathers, and the whole story is never told because it comes from a woman. She can lie and say anything and it's going to be believable. So they turn the children against the father. So the father sits back and watches it happen. And again, I'm not giving any excuse, any pass to the father for watching this take place, because in a lot of cases, he's doing something to self-medicate or cope with the fact that his son is going to be a weaker version than him. His son is not going to live up to the standards that he really wanted him to. So he'll sit back and, watch football or watch porn or, drink beer, drink himself to sleep every night. Toxic mothers ruin their sons. And this is a conversation that a lot of people don't want to have, but this is a reality. I see it day in and day out on social media, where these men are being taken to family court, and they're putting text messages and showing evidence and proof of how these mothers are keeping their children away from their fathers, especially the sons, because the sons are supposed to be the leaders. The sons are supposed to be the monarchs and the trendsetters and the trailblazers for a better society. But because of the emotional damage and trauma that these women are put in and put themselves in on a daily basis, they would rather ruin their son trying to get back at the father that they had the son with. And we are here today. It's the Day Master.